I was so down bad. Pictures of me from like a year and a half ago, I just look sick.
Johnny Hodges went from playing D1 lacrosse to D1 football.
If I'm being honest, I didn't think I was good enough at football.
From having a fallout with the Naval Academy coaches.
He berated me like you wouldn't believe. Like there's tough love coaching and then there's just psychopath. I literally thought I was dirt. It was just so bad. It gets me teared up.
To miraculously getting an offer from TCU.
This saved my career and my life, really.
From winning the Big 12 championship and the Fiesta Bowl.
They're just talking all this smack to us before the game. I'm like, bet these guys don't know what's coming.
To losing the national championship in devastating fashion.
So at halftime, I was like, all right, like we've been down like this before. Kinda.
Watch the full episode to hear his insane story and how he maintained a winner's mindset throughout.
I'd only take positives from every loss.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson, and today I'm here with D1 football player Johnny Hodges. Johnny, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Bryce.
We're going to get into your mindset, but also what it's like being a D1 athlete. But before we do that, who are you as an athlete growing up and where are you from?
I'm from Darnestown, Maryland. Growing up there, I kind of just played like every sport. Like growing up, like I went to a local swimming pool when I was a kid. I was a really good swimmer. Then as I got a little bit older, I got more into like football and lacrosse and basketball, like contact sports. And I really excelled at those three. Got a scholarship for lacrosse in college. Went to that school. I went to Navy for lacrosse. And then there just really missed football and started pestering the football coaches until they let me walk on the team there. Then played well. I had a falling out with my coaches, entered the portal and ended up here. And just this saved my career and my life, really.
So we'll get into college, but in high school, yeah, like you said, you played football and lacrosse and other sports, but those are your two main ones. So what was the benefit of playing different sports? Like, what do you think how did football help lacrosse? How did lacrosse help football?
I played basketball too. And I think basketball, in my opinion, is probably like the most athletic sport. Like you just have to be so coordinated to dribble a basketball and you have to be fast. You have to be able to jump. Basketball and lacrosse are very similar in terms like flipping your hips, changing direction, getting separate in space to get a shot on goal. And then football kind of just, it helped my hips and my angles and all that stuff. There's more contact in football, don't get me wrong, but those sports conditioning wise, I would say like footwork, I was just heads and tails over people just because I played other sports in high school.
So you definitely benefited from doing those other sports.
Yeah. And you get to compete. Like when you're just doing workouts and ladder drills and footwork drills, like it can get lonely, it can get boring. And you're like, oh, I'm just doing this work in the dark so I can succeed and everyone's watching. But you know, when you're playing a sport, people are always watching, like you're always competing. So it definitely helped.
In high school, you were also the state champion. So can you tell us what do you think led to that?
My high school, we've been like a dominant force in Maryland for a long time, but we had like a little monkey on our back. Couldn't win at all. By the time I got to high school, my freshman year, we lost to like our crosstown rivals for literally like the 4th or 5th year in a row. And I was like, okay, I never want to lose to this team again. Like we got to get to the big dance. Our big motto going into my senior year was just like, all right, we're going to keep knocking at the door till we break it down. Keep knocking, keep getting better, bring it one day at a time, and beat my crosstown rival. My senior year, they weren't any good. We beat them by like 50. We played the team we'd like lost to in the championship in the state semifinal, and we washed them, beat them by a lot. And then at the state final, we're like, oh my God, we're going to win this. Like we knew we were going to win. And we went in, didn't play a perfect game, but we did what we had to and we won. And now it's I kind of see the same thing with the team I'm on now. It's like, okay, like exceeded expectations, started knocking on the door and then just, bring it one day at a time, happy to be there. But at the same time, just don't go put in a lot more work.
How'd you deal with pressure? Is there certain practices you do to deal with pressure?
I would always say breathe in, like just a breath, like hold it for a sec, let it out. And then I just shake it out. I think as an athlete, it's really important to have something that you do pre-game, in the game, after the game, like something you can always do to relax. So right now, like when it's like a TV timeout and stuff, I'm like shaking my arms, just kind of like getting loose. My big thing is breathe in, just shaking stuff out while I'm breathing.
How'd you learn that?
I'd say trial and error, watching athletes that I looked up to, like on a football field, seeing how they would be acting. Then obviously my dad was a big proponent to the breathing and the mental aspect, and he still is to this day. Like he's always meditating, always breathing, always like trying to stay calm. I just kind of took bits and pieces from everything I saw and came up with my own thing. And I just kind of shake my arms out all the time.
And it works well. You were able to make it to college, but you went there to play lacrosse at Navy. So
yes.
What made you make that decision to play lacrosse instead of football? And then what made you make the decision to go back to football?
If I'm being honest, I didn't think I was good enough at football.
Okay.
I didn't get recruited heavily at all. So I was
Mm.
like, I don't think I'm good enough.
Mm.
And I knew I was good enough at lacrosse. I was like
Mhm.
on the best team in the nation, the best
Mm.
club team, and get to college for lacrosse, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. They're changing my position. They're like trying to get me on the field because I was big and athletic,
Mm.
had me play defense, and COVID happened. So I was at home, literally doing nothing. So I was like, screw this. Like, I want to life change. So what did I do? I found the Navy football coaches' emails
Mhm.
online, and I just started emailing them every day. I reached out to my high school coach. He reached out to those
Mhm.
coaches. And then after like probably 2 weeks, they said they'd give me a shot during fall camp. So I just started working out with one of my dad's buddies. He's like a bodybuilder, not a bodybuilder, more so a power lifter.
Mhm.
And I just gained probably like 30 pounds.
Mm.
Like I was up to like 230,
Mhm.
went for like 205 to 230.
Mhm.
And then went to fall camp.
That's pretty impressive to do it as a walk on and then get good minutes.
It took a while. It took a while during COVID year. I'm not going to lie.
Mhm.
So I went to fall camp, and Navy was really tough with COVID.
Mhm.
Like they wouldn't even let us do contact because
I
they were
bet.
scared. So our first game was against BYU when they had like Zach Wilson.
Mhm.
They're like really good,
Mhm.
and we're losing by like 50.
Mhm.
And I don't know how I made the travel roster
Mhm.
because couldn't even hit in fall camp. So
Yeah.
I guess they saw something in
Mhm.
me, and I wore like a GPS monitor, and I was like one of the faster guys on the linebacker core. So
Mhm.
I somehow made the travel roster, and we're losing by 50. And I hate to admit it, I was so happy because I knew I was going to play. I was like just
Yeah.
chomping. I'm like, oh my God, put me in, put me
Yeah.
in. There's like 6 minutes left in the game, and I'm like just giving my position coach the puppy eyes, like, then he puts me in and I balled out. I mean, I'm playing against scrubs at this
Yeah,
point,
but
like
it's all right.
playing against the worst kids on BYU. But I mean,
Yeah.
I had like 7 or 8 tackles
Mhm.
like in literally
Like
4 minutes.
mhm.
So I was so pumped. And there were solo tackles, like open field tackles. I'm getting up, I'm screaming and hollering, like, let's go. I finished that game and I thought I was so good.
Yeah,
Like I thought I
time of
was
your
so
life. Yeah.
good. And I didn't even know college football.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know where I was supposed to be
Mhm.
90% of the time, but I thought I was good. I
Yeah.
knew at that point I knew I could play.
Mhm.
So that helped my confidence for the rest of that year. But then it was a grueling process and ended up starting for the Army Navy game at the end of the year, which
Mhm.
was crazy
Yeah, it was
experience.
nice.
So but yeah, that was a long year. And then things went downhill after the Army Navy game, really.
How much can you get into or
I can get into it all. That's when
okay.
the mental aspect I really became a big proponent of. So I get into like off season training, and I like kind of tweak my hamstring, and I told them, and they're big on toughness and that stuff. So I kept working out,
Mhm.
just made it worse and worse
Mhm.
and worse. I'm like telling my coaches, I'm like, hey, like this is not good. Like this thing is like I can't sit down to go to the bathroom. Like
Mhm.
it hurts to stand up from a chair.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we love your toughness. Just
Keep
keep going.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get this halfway through spring ball and we're scrimmaging, and I'm getting like run by kids who are nowhere near as
Mhm.
fast as me.
Mhm.
And then I ended up just popping on my coach, like my coach. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like
Mhm.
making me practice through this. Like
Yeah.
you can see I can't walk. I'm
Mhm.
playing awful.
Mhm.
He's like, we just love your toughness. I'm like, I don't care about my toughness. I'm not going to be able to play in the
Mhm.
season if you're doing this.
Yeah.
At this point, I was like starting.
Mhm.
And he's like, all right, why don't we get an MRI, see what it says? And it turned out I had like a grade 4 tear. Like I was on
Yeah.
the verge of surgery. They're like, do you
Mhm.
want surgery or just sit it out? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you think?
Mhm.
So my position coach literally forced me to the point of practicing until I tore my hamstring
Mm.
when I shouldn't have been playing. Like he didn't care about me.
Right.
He just cared about looking good for what the culture was. And the
Mhm.
culture was toughness, I guess.
Mhm.
I missed the rest of spring ball. I missed the beginning of like summer workouts. And then once I get back to summer workouts, I'm like nowhere near as fast as I was. And it's like they're using that against me. They're like, all these kids you're faster, they're beating you in sprints. And I'm like, I'm coming back from a torn hamstring.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
They're like, we don't know if you're working hard. And I'm like, why are you guys playing these mental games with
Mm.
me? So it was stuff like that. And it just kept building up, building up. Then we get into fall camp and I'm with the starters. So I really wanted to start. And I would just get screamed at for 5 straight minutes. And I would ask my position coach, like, dude, what the hell do I do? Like, can you please coach me? So this goes on for legit all fall camp.
Mm.
We're in our last fall camp practice, and my position coach is just screaming at me to scream at me to look good for the defensive coordinator. And in my head, I'm like, these guys don't even understand that I have no clue what to do at this position. All I want to do is start. They're just, just ruining my mental. We play Houston, and I play the first series and then get subbed out. And he's like, I'm just doing this to keep you fresh. I'm like, coach, I need to get ready for this game. Like, I need to get in a rhythm. Let me get tired and sub me out like a normal person. He's like, no. This is how we're going to do things. I'm like, all right, I play awful. And I'm just never, ever in the rhythm of the game. And that game ends. and he berated me like you wouldn't believe. Like
Mm.
there's tough love coaching,
Mm.
which is what we have at TCU.
Mhm.
And then there's just psychopath,
Mm.
a-hole.
Mm.
Like, and I was the worst player he'd ever coached. Like he never graded someone as low for me for my effort and for my actual play. Like he said, I was just making mistakes all the time, which is kind of comical because here, like I haven't been told about effort once, and I have a pretty high grade all the time. So he was just screaming at me, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm back to the special teams. But then they wouldn't even put me on special teams because they're trying to like prove a point or something. Then all of a sudden, the coaches are my best friends again. They're like, hey man, we really like how you've been practicing. We're going to give you the keys to the car. Like we're not subbing you out. Like this is your game to prove to us you like belong. And that game was SMU, and I ball out, dude. Like I think I had 2 PBUs, 15 tackles, a pick, like really good. And that comes in handy later because our coach here came from SMU. So literally like couldn't have been a better game. So then I'm like, after the game, I'm like looking at the coach, like, I told you so. Start for like 3 or 4 more games, play well. Then we get to Notre Dame, and it was the same crap from Houston. Like we get killed. I don't play well. I get subbed out for a true freshman. We get to back to Navy. We start practice the next week, and I'm just being berated again, like I was after Houston. And I'm just like, at this point, mentally, I just couldn't handle it. He's like screaming at me. He's like, you're a disgrace to your family name. He's telling me I need to go see therapists because he thinks why I'm not playing well is because my mental. So I'm like, maybe I do need to see a therapist. I go to the therapist. She's like, you just need to stop playing football. That's what it is. I'm like, I don't want to stop playing football. I think I need to get away from this guy. Then long story short, I ended up lashing out on him again one day. Just not bad. It was through text. He texted me. He's like, hey man, you need to pick it up. And I'm like, dude, you need to stop bullying. You're literally bullying me. I don't know what it is. You and our defense coordinator are bullying me. This is nuts. And then we have like the weekend because we were on bye week. So I don't call him back. I do not text him because I knew I was going to say something very dumb. And I told him that in the text. I'm like, you're literally bullying me. I'm not going to respond to your calls or texts. Don't call or text me this weekend. I need to get away from like everything. Long story short, Monday rolls around. The head coach calls me up to his office. Like when you're seeing the head coach, not good. Head coach is like, hey man, we love your game. We love how you're playing. Just take a couple days off. We just seem like you're out of it. I'm like, okay. I literally walk out of the head coach's office to my locker, and everything's gone from my locker. Like my nameplate's gone. Everything's gone. I'm literally like, what the hell? I call my dad, tell him everything that's happened. He's like silent, jaw dropped, like what's going on? He looks up my name. I'm just erased from Navy football. They cut me off the roster, literally got dismissed from the team. I'm like calling and texting all my coaches at this point. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. What is going on? They're like, yeah, we decided it's not best. You're not good for our team. You're a cancer. I'm like, there's no way this is happening to me. I've always been like coach's favorite. I was like, okay, I guess I'm entering the transfer portal, and I enter the portal and I'm like, I'm screwed because I literally have awful stats because I didn't play very much except for like 4 starts. We aren't any good. So I don't know how I'm going to level up. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to go start playing lacrosse again, or I'm just going to be a NARP and finish school get a great degree. But I was so down bad. Just pictures of me from like a year and a half ago. I just looked sick. I probably got down to like 200 pounds. So I lost 25 pounds. Wouldn't eat anything, wouldn't leave the room except for class, just down tremendous. My dad, unbeknownst to me, was like literally reaching out to schools via my email, pretending to be me, trying to get me an offer. Because my thing was I wasn't going to leave Navy to go to some not good school. Like it has to level up, Power 5, big time D1, like good education. And this is why I believe in like religion and stuff, because this has to literally be the stars aligning. So my 2 best games were SMU and Tulsa. My dad's email, and he realized somehow figured out Coach Dykes and Coach Gillespie got hired at SMU or at TCU. We didn't know anyone who went to TCU. We're from Maryland. And he reaches out to him. I end up finishing the semester at Navy. The football team ended up beating Army. So when I got dismissed, they lost every game, but then beat our biggest rival. And that was a very hard day. And I had to like sit in the stands and watch because if you aren't on the team, it's like required to go to the games. So I'm watching them win. And I felt so small. And I'm like, the coaches were right. Like everyone was right. Like I really have to do some looking in the mirror and figure out what's wrong with me. Like I literally thought I was dirt. Like it was just so bad. It gets me like teared up low key. I just came straight home after the game. Like the game was in New York. All my friends are just going crazy in New York City. I'm just like, go home and like want to cry and curl up in a ball. I've lost like 30 pounds. I'm like 195 pounds. Like I'm anorexic almost. Just dark circles on I look like a drug addict. Literally the next day, my buddies came back. They're like, hey man, come out with us in Maryland. I'm like, all right, like fine. We just finished our exam. So, I mean, that's a celebration when you finish exams at Navy. We're literally about to go out and my phone rings and it's a random number from Texas. And I never answer random numbers because I think they're telemarketers. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just answer this. I've never gotten a call from Texas. And I go, hello. And on the other line, I'll never forget. It's like, hey, is this Johnny Hodges? I'm like, yeah, who's this? He's like, this is Coach Gillespie from TCU. Are you the one who's been emailing me? And I'm like, I literally pull the phone away and like, I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey man, I remember playing you when I was at Tulsa. Coach Dykes remembers you. We love your game. We're going to do a little more research, but we want to offer you. And I'm like, pull the phone away again. And I'm like, are you talking like scholarship? Prefer like walk on? What do you mean offer me? He's like, oh dude, full ride. Like, aren't you getting offers out of the portal? And I was like, I'm getting, yeah. He's like, hey, like I want to find out a little more research. I want to see what happened at Navy. And if you have anyone that can speak on your behalf, like a high school coach, let me know. Like give him my number. But at this point, we're about to give you an offer. Just hang on a couple more days. I hang up the phone. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm about to get an offer to TCU. Hug my dad crying. My high school coach, I call him immediately. He was doing all this stuff behind the scenes. I didn't even know because like I was down bad, down tremendous. And him and my dad were just grinding. Like they both love me. Like they love me. Literally, it's love. And my high school coach calls him. He calls me back. He's like, dude, I just talked to him for an hour and a half. Like you're secure. And next day, Coach Gillespie calls, gives me a full ride. And he's like, I know the recruiting schedule's busy. I know you probably want to get down here for an official visit. Put us in your top 5. Just let me know. And I'm like, yeah, coach, let me just talk to my family. Make sure this is a good fit. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I let her hang up the phone. I'm like, guys, I'm going to TCU. Call him back 10 minutes later. I'm like, coach, I'm committing. He's like, oh my God, we didn't think you'd commit so fast. Oh, this, that. He's like, we got to get you down here for an official. I'm like, nope. He's like, what do you mean no? I'm like, I don't care what the campus looks like. I'm coming. Literally get out Navy as fast as I can, drive down here the next week, and we start workouts, and the rest is history. But when I got here, I was like, all right, there's 2 things. I could never let someone believe in myself more than me. So my dad and my high school coach, like that's never happening again. And I'm like, I treated this almost like JUCO. Like this is it. Like I somehow got a blessing from God himself to get to a Power 5 school. I'm going to bring it every day and just never give up. And I brought it every day. I learned the playbook better than everyone else. I brought it every day in conditioning, and I'm going to bring it on the weekends where we're not traveling. Like I'm not going to go get stupid crazy every weekend because I know where I want to go.
Tough long journey just to get here.
Just
and
crazy. So, I saw some dark times.
Yeah, definitely.
Some dark times.
We could talk about the conference game where you guys beat Michigan. What do you think led to you guys winning that game?
Staying calm. We just lost a big game, so we had a bad taste in our mouth.
Right.
We knew we wanted to win. Everyone's saying we shouldn't be there. Big 12's this, Big 12's that. I'm like, they're a little overrated. And then they're just talking all this smack to us before the game, just giving us more fuel. And I'm like, bet these guys don't know what's coming. The score was closer than it really was, in my opinion. Like, I think we won by 6, but there's never a point in that game where we knew we were going to lose. And that's what I think our big thing is going to be next year, is just really stomping on people's throats, like putting it away, winning big. We got to do that. Like we let them back in the game. What led to us winning, we just took it one day at a time. We blocked the outside noise. We really locked into practice and our game plan. We got great coaches. And once we got to the stage, we stayed calm.
That leads to the national championship game. So going into it, you guys are still underdogs, but what was your mentality going into it?
Thought it was just going to be just like Michigan. I'm like, all right, they just barely beat Ohio State. Michigan killed Ohio State. I'm like, we're going to shock them too. And the team that got off the bus wasn't the same team that played Ohio State. They beat the brakes off us. So quick turnaround. I'm trying to, we lock into our game plan and just goes out the window quick because they get up big. And we knocked at the door, and the door was locked. They were much better than us, more ready for that moment. I mean, coaches admit it. I admit it. Strength staff admits it. Top down, they're just much more ready for that moment. And I'm very grateful it happened because it shows me the next level that I have to get to as a player and our team has to get to, just because, that's the best team.
Right.
And they're much more prepared for that moment and how to beat the crap out of us. And they made sure to beat the crap out of us.
The mood at halftime, how did y'all still think that there was still some hope in there?
We still thought there was some hope. We'd come back a lot, but my big thing at halftime was like, all right, I got to bring it every play just so I don't get beat bad. We went on the second half and then it just got ugly, but I was just bringing every play. And I watched film and it's really hard to watch. And I did not, the talks I did make, I'm like, oh my God, Georgia's not even trying at this point. They're 50. But so at halftime, it was like, all right, like we've been down like this before. Kind of. We just weren't ready. We weren't ready. We were not ready. And there was nothing that could get us ready for that. We were not going to be ready for that game after such a high against Michigan. We haven't done it. We'd never done it.
Is that the first time TCU's made it to the national championship game?
I think we won a national championship like 1930, so that doesn't count.
It does count. No. So it's the first time, first time we've been there in a while. So it's still groundbreaking. After the game, you still made history. Is there some positives you can take from it, or is there something you learned from it going forward?
Yeah, the positives I can take from it is just the level I have to get to if I want to be able to compete with that team. That's the ceiling right now. I'm like, all right, I thought I was doing good. I played great against Michigan, played well in the Big 12. That was a different game. And as a player all off season, that's when I'm like, all right, I need to work a lot more because that's the level that the NFL, that's the closest to an NFL team I want to play. And if I want to go to the NFL, like I'm gonna have to really get better. That's my positive. Like I know what it takes. I know what the best players, the best team looks like, and I've got to get good fast. When we lose by 60, there's not a lot. You lost. Like you got the brakes beat off of you. Let's be a good sport. Let them call their timeouts about their quarterback. Let their fans go crazy. Let them enjoy the confetti. Let all the media say what they're going to say. You lost by 60, but I'd only take positives from every loss.
You've been in some big games. What do you think is the most pressure you felt in a game, and how did you deal with it?
I would say the most pressure I ever felt in a game was against Kansas. It was like big time game. Kansas didn't finish the season great, but when we played them, they were confident. They were 5-0. Game day, thousands and thousands of people in the stands, and the stadium was just electric. You could feel the buzz, and I never felt like I got into a rhythm that game, and I played awful. In my eyes, awful. Really took that as a learning experience. I'm like, what can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? Next week, we play Oklahoma State at home, and we beat them. I played well, but I still wasn't confident. And then it literally took that Texas Tech game when I got subbed out again for someone I thought like I was better than. And I was like, I'm letting this slip out of my fingers again. I got to just grab it. That was my mindset the rest of the year. Then played Texas Tech well in the second half. And then Texas, like they're a really good team and played really, really well against them. Got a bunch of awards after that game. Then just finished the season strong.
What are some other mental practices you do, whether it's in the game or outside the game?
So when I wake up on game day, I do this like 10-minute breathing meditation thing in the shower. And that just kind of relaxes my whole body. And then I start getting riled up for the game, and I get so pumped up. Like I don't listen to any music. I'm ready to effing go on game day. There's thousands of people cheering. There could be 0 people there. I'm ready to go because you're playing a game and you could die. Then we get to the locker room before the game, and I just put a towel over my head and lay back. Like everyone has their pregame thing, like listening to music, doing like cracking their knuckles, watching a highlight tape. I just close my eyes, lay back, another meditation. And I just imagine like darkness, just nothing. Then I'll get up, like it's almost like a mini nap, like a 10-minute nap, and then get up, and then I'm like, bring it every play. Don't wait till the second half to get to my peak. Bring it at the beginning. That's kind of what I do. Just talk to myself. I literally say those things like, F it, bring it. Don't wait to get to that peak. Bring it from the beginning. Don't wait till halftime or the third quarter or when the game's over, like against Georgia, to start playing well. Bring it. Bring it, Johnny. Bring it. And that's what's really helped me. And obviously just all the failures I've had. Sometimes you need to go through that stuff before you figure it out.
Yeah, no, the self-talk is super important. And then the fact that you're able to take some value from the failures, that's super important. What do you do outside like the game, whether it's film, eating healthy, like those things, that the small details that a lot of athletes don't do?
Yeah. I mean, I'm big in the film room. I spend 20 minutes just watching over our practice. So you always learn better when you watch yourself. So I watch myself. How are my blitzes? How's my pad level? How's my hands? Am I succeeding in this move I'm trying to work on this week? And then after that 20 minutes, I spend 20 or 30 minutes watching the other team, just their film. When's this team like running screens? All right. How do they run their screens? I just jot down a little bit of notes. So I spend about, 30 minutes, an hour watching film a night, which isn't that much, but it seems like a lot compared to other people, but I enjoy it. Yeah. So then by Thursday, like I have a good idea what I need to go. I just have 2 or 3 things I want to go into a game. I'll find the tight end, whatever lineman I feel like it's the weakest, what move works on him the best. And then by Thursday night, I'm ready to go. Then Friday, like we go to the hotel, the team watches film together. Friday night, like I'll watch probably like 10 plays of a team that played the team we're playing well. So when we played Georgia, Kentucky played them well. So I'm watching that film for 10 minutes. I've already watched it 100 times. Just listen to a common song, something that pumps me up. Then I turn it off, turn on TV, just chill. And Saturday doing my stuff, I'm ready. Just really focusing on little minute details throughout the week. And then by the time it's your game time, you can rest easy knowing you've done everything you can possibly do to get ready.
Do you visualize at all?
Yeah. Before when I'm like watching the film and just through film, definitely visualizing. And then once I get closer to the game, like visualizing picks, which didn't happen this year. Visualizing big hits, visualizing them running this play and me making a play. Yeah, of course. But I think that's more like dreaming to me. I'm dreaming about football. That's how I know I'm going to do well in practice the next day. And I know I'm going to do well in the game because I'm dreaming about it. It's like in my subconscious. And then I'm also like a stoic and stuff. So even if I don't do well, like everything happens for a reason is what it is. Like I said, I can rest easy. I did everything I knew I could that week leading up to it.
Talk about the stoic mindset. Like, do you have a mantra that you use for any failures or anything that's difficult that happens?
Everything happens for a reason. And that's a stoic. You just kind of go with the flow. Things happen. What I did learn through the process of getting here though, is like, you have to earn things to happen your way. Like I was a very big stoic and very big in everything happens for a reason. And then after that, I started mixing in a little bit of capitalist ideologies, meaning like, all right, I got to do extra work to get to where I want to go. I wasn't just going to get offered by TCU. They wouldn't even have known I was in the portal. Like there's billions of people in the portal. So good things happen to those that work hard. Like that's another mantra I got. But yeah, definitely everything happens for a reason. Like you break your leg, it happens for a reason.
Yeah, it's a good philosophy.
You get kicked off a team, happen for a reason.
You learn lessons and you get stronger. Now you're zoning in, you're trying to stop like the party, maybe not doing as much.
Well, the partying is dangerous because everyone wants to do it. It's fun to party. It is. And in the season, like I maybe went out like 2 or 3 times after big wins on Halloween. But now it's the off season. You have to reset your mind. You kind of got to relax. Like after this, I'm going to go play pool with my buddies at a bar and it's going to be fun. But there's a fine line of partying and being able to do like go out and have a good time and then still being able to go next week and work your tail off. So I'm not going to go get belligerent, but it is the off season. We just had such a long time of just being locked in. You got to kind of take some time off and relax and hang out with your friends and go out in public places. I'm such a, determined guy. I almost feel guilty when I do go out and I'm like, this is going to hurt this. I'm like, Johnny, relax, bro. Like you have to do this so you don't lose your mind and kill yourself or something stupid like that. So right now I'm like kind of vacation mode, like relax mode, man, just enjoy what you just did. And when you're working your tail off. When you're not working, kick your feet up, have a good time. And then at the same time, like at night, I'm still stretching, still getting treatment, stuff like that. But that's kind of how I dignify it. Like when you're out of season, man, can't be a psycho all the time or you're going to become a psycho. Be a normal guy. You have fun. Go say like hi to people.
Just do things in moderation. All right. Well, so you gave some great insights so far about your story. We'll end it with the last final 5 questions. The first one is, what's a misconception about being a D1 athlete?
I think a lot of times people think all athletes like think they're better than other people just because they're like kind of famous. And I mean, it makes sense. And some people are, but I mean, a lot of us are just normal guys. So that's a common misconception.
And the second one is, what's your worst conditioning workout of your career?
Anything with a fan bike. I mean, conditioning's tough no matter where you are. There's going to be tough days, but when you're on a fan bike, you're going to die.
What's that one? So
that's the one when you move your hands.
Oh yeah, that one. Okay, yeah,
and your calories just go up like that. You can bike for 10 seconds as fast as you can and burn like a lot of calories, and you're going to be thrown. Like that's the worst condition, hands down.
Man, okay.
Get on a fan bike if you're nuts.
Yeah. And then what's your best memory of your career?
Just getting offered by TCU, changed my life, saved my football career, and saved my life.
What's your one piece of advice you could give to a high school student that wants to come up and play college football or college sports?
Go have fun. Go have fun. Play a lot of sports. Don't just lock in on one, because a lot of times people get burnt out. There's kids on our team right now that are burnt out. They've only played football for the last 8 years. I'm like, oh my God, I need something different. Go play a bunch of sports. Go have fun. And then, if you're serious about it, one sport, like do extra work. Like you don't have to be, you can be playing another sport in another season and still be working for football. So play a lot of sports, have fun.
And the last question is, how do you define the word winner?
Wake up and attack the day. Don't just sit back and do nothing. Like wake up and do something productive that day and you're going to be a winner.